you've seen the fight. Maybe you've even been in the middle of it. You're scrolling through your feed and there it is, a steaming pot of jollof rice, and the comments are already a battlefield. It starts with a single flag emoji, and suddenly you're defending a recipe as if it were a national border. Nigeria says theirs is the undisputed champion. Ghana says, absolutely not. You've got the texture all wrong. Sierra Leone is quietly offended that nobody even mentioned their contribution. It is a debate that transcends food. It's about pride, identity, and the very soul of the West African kitchen. And every December, like clockwork, the whole internet goes to war over a pot of rice. People find themselves debating the merits of parboiled versus long grain and the exact ratio of tomato paste to stock. It's the annual Jollof Wars, and the stakes feel higher than ever. But here is what nobody arguing in those comments knows. The dish you are defending so fiercely, it is much older than your country. In fact, it's older than the concept of the modern nation state. The secret of its origin ends an argument you didn't even know you were having. This is the story of Jollof. To understand Jollof, we travel back in time, not to the streets of modern Lagos or the coastal markets of Accra. We go to a place that most people in the Jollof Wars never name, where the history of West Africa was written in the soil long before modern borders were drawn. In the 1300s, there was a powerful state here called the Wolof Empire, also spelled J-O-L-O-F. At its height, the Jollof Empire was a major political force, a confederation that controlled much of modern Senegal and the Gambia. It was a land of warriors, scholars, and master farmers. Jollof. Just listen to the word, Jollof, Jollof. You can hear the history in the name itself. The evolution of the word mirrors the evolution of the dish, traveling across centuries until it became the household name we recognize today. The name isn't a coincidence, it's a map. This empire sat along the fertile banks of the Senegal River, where rice farming was so incredibly rich that the area earned a specific name, the Grain Coast. For centuries, the people here perfected the art of rice cultivation, growing indigenous African rice long before Asian varieties ever reached these shores. And out of that abundance of rice came a dish the Wolof people called Tibudien, Sibujen in Wolof. It literally translates to rice and fish. It was a masterclass in one-pot cooking, combining the catch of the day with the harvest of the field. Hearty, complex, and deeply tied to Jollof identity. Now, look closely at this original dish. Notice what's missing. There are no tomatoes here. There is no signature red color. This pale, savory bowl is the great-grandmother of every jollof on the planet. She looks almost nothing like the vibrant red rice you see people fighting about today. To this day, Tibudien remains the national dish of Senegal. It is a point of immense cultural pride. Many food historians consider it the true original ancestor. The jollof rice we know elsewhere is just a simplified traveling version of this complex coastal feast. It is the root from which all branches grew. How did it spread? Either traders from the Mali Empire carried the recipe along their routes, or the Wolof people themselves migrated, bringing their traditions with them. Either way, the dish moved, and as it crossed through different landscapes and cultures, it began to change. But here is the twist. Because the jollof you actually know today, the iconic red one, could not have existed before the year 1448. That date marks a collision of worlds that changed the West African palate forever, introducing the ingredient we now consider essential. In 1448, the Portuguese established trading posts along the Senegal River. They brought with them seeds and plants from their other colonies, connecting West Africa to a global network of exchange that would alter the world's biology as much as its politics. That ingredient was the tomato. The tomato isn't originally African, it's a fruit of the Americas. It was carried across the Atlantic by European trading networks, finding a new home in the sun-drenched soil of West Africa and becoming a staple of the regional diet. But we have to acknowledge the shadow in this story. In those same decades, these European networks were also beginning the transatlantic slave trade. The same ships that brought the tomato were part of a system that moved millions of people. Our food history is inseparable from our history of survival. So that defining authentic red actually arrived on the trade routes of empire. The vibrant color in your pot today is a fingerprint of contact, trade, and conquest. It is a testament to how West African cooks took a foreign ingredient and completely reinvented it, making it their own. And the story doesn't stop there. Consider the rice itself. Classic Senegalese sieboudien uses broken rice. Why would a master chef choose broken grains? The answer lies in the collision of cultures and the economics of the colonial era, a choice born of necessity that became a hallmark. In the 1800s, the French imported massive quantities of cheap broken rice from Southeast Asia. This was considered low-grade rice meant to feed the working population. But the cooks of St. Louis saw an opportunity to create something new, a texture that absorbed flavors like no other grain could. Oral tradition credits a legendary cook named Penda Mbaye with this innovation. She worked in the colonial governor's palace and was the first to masterfully use this broken rice with the new tomatoes to create the dish that would spread across the region. She turned a colonial discard into a masterpiece. Think about the power in that. A woman took the scraps of a colonial economy and transformed them into the foundation of a national identity. That is the real spirit of Jollof, taking what history forced onto the region and making it something beautiful, powerful, and entirely yours. It's a story of resistance. So, before you jump into the latest Nigeria versus Ghana showdown, remember the root. It is Senegalese at its foundation. The color came from the Americas. The technique was refined in a colonial kitchen. Your favorite version isn't the only real one. It's your community's unique remix of a 700-year-old story. Jollof was never meant to be owned by one flag. It was always meant to be passed down. From the Wolof Empire, down trade routes, and onto ships that crossed the ocean. It has landed in diaspora kitchens everywhere, carrying the story of a people's resilience in every single grain. Somewhere right now, an auntie is stirring a pot, making it slightly differently than her mother did, and her children will make it differently than her. But they're all right, because what you're seeing isn't a war. It's a living family tree that connects us across time and space. Every pot of Jollof is a living history lesson. It remembers the empire, the ships, and the woman who made magic out of leftovers. You're not just eating a dish, you're eating 400 years of survival, trade, and constant reinvention. That's what makes it the best version. If this story changed how you look at your plate, join us for the next episode where we uncover the story of the librarians who smuggled ancient manuscripts out of a war zone. Hit subscribe so you don't miss a single chapter of the stories that made us who we are.